morning. It's Wild Wednesday at the Price of Joy, and we're on Joy Jams. And today I am so excited to have my friend, actually somebody I really deeply admire. Devinder Singh Malhan is my guest. Devinder, you got to say something, not just shake your head.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out like I always do. I am going to do a quote. I'm going to read a lesson from the Course in Miracles, and then Devinder and I will start our fantastic discussion about his journey. Devinder is a fashion designer. Actually, I'm wearing this top that I'm wearing, which actually, look at how it makes my cleavage. It's like awesome. Anyway, he sells these fashions around the world, and he'll let you know later where you can catch his stuff. But he actually has a shop here on Park Avenue, and it's called Originals of Park Avenue, and it's in the front of the Park Plaza Gardens Hotel. And this store is full of morsels that he just dropped his mic. He's got to figure it out himself because I'm talking. It's full of morsels and wonderful things that anyone would want to have. This is what happens when you do live radio. So what I'm going to do, Devinder, is I'm going to get you to talk on this mic while I fix that. And just talk about what you do, and just look at the camera.
So, good morning, everyone. I must apologize first for anything I might say that might offend everyone. This is totally live, unrehearsed, unedited, and I'm just gonna go ahead and speak my mind. I broke a microphone already, so that's not a good start.
Yeah, just keep talking.
So. I'll start with my career. I, from a very young age, actually knew what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted to be a fashion designer, but there were different obstacles, different roads, different visions for me.
So I've got this back on loosely.
So just shut up now and stop you blabbering.
Grab this. No, don't touch this. It's just barely hanging.
Okay. I got it.
Okay, you got it? Okay. Now, for Cindy, who's not mechanical and hires people to do everything, everything, that was really funny.
That was good.
Because I don't know how to do anything. But see, that's what you have to do when you're doing live radio, right?
Right.
And you have to just whatever happens, you just have to go with it. And speaking of that, I'm going to get back, and then we're going to go back to what Devinder was talking about earlier, because that's why I brought him. And I just wanted to start. So I'm going to start out. First thing I'm going to do is I referred to this book yesterday, and then I couldn't find it on my shelf, so I found it. So this is the book. It's called Living Juicy, and it's a bunch of ideas for how to live a more juicy life. Let's just call it that. It's about how to live a more juicy life. And so let's just start out with my lesson from A Course in Miracles. As I've told you, I am a student of A Course in Miracles. I believe that A Course in Miracles is something that helps me remain aligned with spirit and not get caught too much in my ego. And so my lesson today is lesson 150, and it starts out, this is a review of earlier lessons. My mind holds only what I think with God. And 139, lesson 139 is, I will accept atonement for myself. And lesson 140, only salvation can be said to cure. So when you hear those things, Devinder, when you hear, I will accept atonement for myself and only salvation can be said to cure, what comes up in your mind when you hear those things?
Well, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, I'm full of loaded questions. Look out.
Wow.
Just what's the first thing that pops in?
The first thing that pops in for me would be to first figure out what I'm here on a daily basis.
Why am I here in this world?
In this world.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, and what is my purpose here?
I know exactly what you mean by that.
So I am here for a reason. And there are certain times I have energy, and there's sometimes I'm out of energy.
Oh, yes.
I feel when I'm working towards my purpose,
yes,
why I'm here, I seem to have more energy, and it seems to be I'm more connected with that energy. It feels right in my heart.
Yes.
When it's my ego, it doesn't really gel very
It doesn't flow.
It doesn't
It's
flow.
like, it's almost like if you get caught up in the ego, your phone's about ready to drop over there. It's sliding. Push it back. Yeah. Devinder's also streaming on his phone. And so I couldn't find a mic stand or a phone stand, but whatever. Anyway, so back to what you were saying, because what you were saying is really important. What you're saying is that our ego will like cut off the flow of spirit to us. Is that right?
I totally believe that.
Yeah. And so getting caught in our ego causes us to falter.
Yeah.
And we are all here to do something creative, to be creative in some way.
We all have a purpose in life. I think it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think like competing with other artists or competing with other human beings is really I think it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because they have their reason, I have my reason.
Mm-hmm.
And accumulation of wealth is not really a reason.
You're not motivated by money is what you're saying.
I'm not.
You're motivated by like having like a place to live and food to eat, and you don't mind if they're not like decent, but you don't need to like have piles and piles of money hidden away, stockpiled. Because honestly, that's fear-based.
Yeah.
Because if you really live in the artistic flow, you actually believe that there really isn't, you just have to show up and stay in the flow and money will come.
And it's provided for you.
It's provided for you. You don't even have to look for it. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean some people have to have a job, but what Devinder and I do, we're entrepreneurs, right? And so we are living by our wits. That's the way I see it. It's like living by our wits. We have to generate money. If we stop moving forward, we stop generating money. Whereas, if you have a job, okay, and I think jobs, I respect jobs. I had jobs for years. I'm not putting jobs down, but I'm just presenting the difference. When you have a job, there's a guarantee that you go there every day, unless you get fired. But as long as you're producing at a decent level, you can have off days. You can have off weeks. Honestly, you could have off years. You can call in sick. Oh, that's a good one. You can go on vacation. But when you're an entrepreneur, you call in sick, there's no money. You go on vacation, there's no money. So it's like this idea of like knowing that you always have to be really keeping like moving forward. And so I think go on vacation, like take a sick day. That's an important part for an entrepreneur. Even though there's no financial gain, there is a spiritual gain because you can restore your spiritual like reserves. Is that energy, your spiritual energy. So anyway, Devinder, you started to introduce yourself during that period when we were fixing the mic.
Yeah.
So I would like to have Devinder just introduce himself a little bit more. Maybe talk a little bit about his history in the world of fashion. And then I'll ask him some questions, but that's kind of the framework of our conversation and how he believes that designing, creating fashion, creating beauty creates joy in the world.
Yeah, so I was very blessed. I think I'm blessed in many ways. I have been born with a gift. When I work against it, it doesn't work out for me.
Okay.
From a very young age, I knew I wanted to be a designer. Seems shallow, but it's not really. I do bring joy to people. You said
the word shallow. I just want to like stop there.
Okay.
And let's look at that and project your voice a little more.
Okay.
Shallow is the idea that beauty is something that we shouldn't be seeking, wanting, respecting, admiring. Is that what you mean by shallow?
Not really.
Okay. What do you mean?
I mean, when I say when I use the word shallow and fashion together in a sentence, it's more like what you see in the magazines. I mean, a lot of it is negative. You have to look like a certain person.
Oh, yes, yes. So it perpetuates a stereotype of an ideal of what beauty really is. Is that what you mean?
And I feel you should love yourself and love your body for whatever it is. It's kind of very, I don't know the right word, but when people critique their own body,
yes,
it bothers me. It's
Yeah.
like you've got two eyes, you got two legs, you got everything. You work, everything's
Yeah.
working. Like
Yeah, and if you don't like the way it is, just change it.
just change
Just like work on that.
And I know for a fact that being a fashion designer, there are ways for me, to uh, bring out
Accentuate the best parts, even the meatiest ones. I think that's
Right,
what you
and
meant. Even where there's a little meat, you can accentuate it in a beautiful way. That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. And I believe that when you like this blouse, I mean, when you wear it, you feel joy.
Yes, and that's okay. So that's what I want to get to is like art is sort of the juice of life, right? Like art, beauty, like beautiful people, beautiful people, by the way, aren't just like aesthetically beautiful. It's like it's their spirit. Have you ever met somebody who's like, they're not ugly, but they have there's magnetic attraction about them.
Yeah, I met myself.
Like yourself. Oh my gosh, he's a perfect example of that, isn't he? Right.
Beauty and the Beast.
Like traditionally, like he's not like what's on the front of a magazine, but like he's so handsome. Look at him with his like great his hair is long, and wait till you see him. If you ever see him, he's a Sikh. So he has his what do you call it, a turban?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that into this because I am a Sikh and we're a small minority, about 2% of the world's population, kind of misunderstood, but basically we believe in one God. And when I speak of energy, I think it's coming from from my religion or from the teachings.
Yes.
That we truly believe in energy.
Yes. So the Sikhs truly believe in energy. And I think you and I were having a conversation about this, about Sikhs and all of that one day. And I think you were telling me that it's like the newest religion.
It's only 500 years
It's only 500 years old. And so that's like pretty amazing in a country like India that, I mean, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of religions.
Yes, there's a lot of religions.
And
but it's a form of Hinduism?
Not really.
Okay.
The basics is we don't believe in idol worshiping. We don't believe in the caste system. We believe every human being is equal, including men and women. My sisters.
No wonder I like him.
My sisters were brought up almost like in the same manner as a boy was. Which
is different in India, right? Because I've met other people from India where maybe it's more that the women are like separated and treated very differently than the men.
Yeah, so it's hard also sometimes for me in my field when I find women with no backbone.
Oh yeah, right. So talk about that.
Well, we saw it clearly, I think, in the last elections.
Oh, okay. No, that's okay. I don't mind. Like I could have another show all about politics, right? Because then Devinder and I could like have a little round table of people, which maybe Devinder and I will do that. We'll start doing some Wednesday night chat about politics, about what's going on in the week. Those are the kind of things we can do here.
Right.
Right. And we can talk about important things. And I'm gonna get Devinder to talk because he's talking about this political thing, about something he does that's political.
So what I'm stating in this interview is just my opinions.
Yeah.
It's clearly my opinion.
Yes.
And it's like not there to hurt anyone.
No.
I don't mean to be derogatory.
No, anything. You're not being derogatory, but you are involved in an organization.
Yeah, I've been involved in an organization. There was a genocide of 1984 that very few people know of. I survived that genocide.
Wow. Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah, I was 18. And they were targeting young 18-year-old Sikh men.
Wow. See, isn't this interesting when you get this chance to like talk to people? I mean, Devinder and I have known each other, like 3-4 months?
Yeah.
Oh, you know where Devinder and I met? This is an interesting story, and then I'll let him get back because I think
he will let me talk at some point.
I have let you talk. You talked for a long time. Anyway, are you saying I'm not letting you talk?
No, I love it.
Okay. Because I have been like known to talk too much.
That's okay.
So, but anyway, I just want to give them some background,
awesome.
And it's based on what you're saying, really, right? Because there was a school shooting in Florida, in Parkland, in January, I think. I think it was in January, and I was invited on a date with a person, a first date, and to go to the vigil. And so when a dude asked me for the first date to go to a vigil, I'm like, oh my God, I'm all in. I mean, I was like so excited that like somebody.
I wasn't the dude.
No, he wasn't the dude. But that's when I get to the story. So he and I, the guy and I was with a very nice gentleman. We like him. Yeah.
I love him.
You love him. And so he, we showed up at the church in Winter Park. It was at the First Congregational Winter Park. And we walk in, it's crowded. There's lots of people. And all of a sudden, Bob, the guy I was with, like sees Devinder, and like this like sheer joy. He comes over his face, and I think he says to me, "Do you mind if we sit with my friend Devinder?" And I'm like, I look at Devinder, and I'm like, "Of course we can sit with your friend Devinder. He like looks so interesting." He looked like a cross between. Okay, I'm going to tell you my first impression.
Yeah.
He looked like a cross between like a homeless person and a genius, because I hadn't met you, right? Right, and your hair is kind of messy, and that's just my first impression. And then we started talking, and then I was like, oh my goodness, this man is like, wow, he's like so soulful and so connected. And he came here all by himself to this vigil. Anyway, so what ended up happening is Devinder was our chaperone on our first date. We left there, we came back to my house to drop my dog off, we went to dinner at Santiago's, we came back. We drove back to get Devinder's car. It was quite an evening. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
But anyway, the point being that Devinder was talking about the thing in his culture or in India that had happened, and we met at an event that had to do with raising awareness. So go on, Devinder. I'm sorry.
So I've been a volunteer for Amnesty International for about 32 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's probably the only organization I subscribe to or like am part of. I'm very active with them.
Right.
My connections go all the way around the world with Amnesty.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of work. 1984, when I got to the U.S., I me and a friend of mine, Lance Turner, we started the first chapter for Amnesty in UCF.
Is that right?
Yes.
That is so cool.
So since then, we don't know what has happened. And then I took a different approach of just working on it, but not being in not being in the forefront. You can do a lot of work.
Yes.
You can do a lot of work.
Like a foot soldier.
Yeah, we can do a lot of work. And now, because of technology, back then we had to like write letters and sign them
and go show up on people's doors or even things. No, okay, never showed up on anyone's door. Okay,
it's just we are journalists. We're peaceful journalists, and what we try to do is target politicians to let them know that we're aware of the human rights abuse.
Okay, so around the world. This is not just in the United States. You guys are looking at things all around the world.
We are 8 million strong.
You're 8 million strong,
and so we know the right people to target, to let them know that we are aware of like human rights abuse. And what happens is when they get thousands of emails, thousands of letters, it's like not worth it. It might be just better to let that person go, not to try them. You know?
I see what you're saying is these letter writing campaigns, what the result is that whatever's going on in whatever country, they may actually make the decision based on this. It feels like pressure to them, and then they do the right thing, but not for the right reason. But they do the right thing. But it doesn't matter if it's for the right reason or the wrong reason, because now there's somebody who has freedom who hadn't had freedom before. Are you able to talk about like one example of something that you got really involved in and felt deeply passionate about in Amnesty?
Well, I'm still very deeply passionate about the 1984 Sikh genocide.
Yes.
I think it is one of my callings.
Okay. You mean spreading the word of it or letting people know about it?
No, it's called a riot.
A riot. What does that mean?
In history, it's written down as it was a riot of 1984. I want it to be rewritten as a genocide. There was this one Sikh person dying every minute.
Yes.
And it wasn't a riot. We weren't killing each other.
Right. We were being killed.
We were being killed, and we were being killed by the police, by the military, and we were targeted. Our businesses were targeted. Children were disappearing.
It's like a genocide.
It is a genocide.
Yeah.
And I think because of political reasons, the U.S., the UK, Indian government will not take responsibility.
So that's one of you are passionate about getting governments to take responsibility for what this really was. That's what you've been focused on.
32 years I've been focused on this. I went to the mayor's office in Orlando, and I asked that maybe Orlando be the one of the first few cities to recognize it as a genocide. I didn't get very far. I'm sorry.
That's too bad.
But California is the first state to recognize it as a genocide, and I love California.
Oh, fantastic!
They are always progressive.
Yes, yes.
And there are certain Canadian governments and Canadians that do recognize it as a genocide. It needs to be rewritten as a genocide. The Indian government writes the history, and I don't want my son growing up thinking that I left the country because of a riot. I left because it was a genocide.
Yeah. So I'm going to segue out of that. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Because that's like awesome. And that's like, I love that you're interested in that. I would love to have like a whole show about that.
Yeah.
But I want to, let's look at this. So this man, so he just told us that it was 1984. I know about how old he is. So I could figure out that he was just in the beginning of college at that time, when he came to Orlando. So you came to Orlando from India?
Yep.
Okay. From what city in India?
I grew up in Calcutta, and this was
Calcutta. Wow.
But this was my second trip to the U.S. I was here when I was 13.
Okay.
When the Ayatollah had the hostages, so we won't get into that.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that too. I would love to.
We'll get into our creative side. Get back to fashion.
Get back to fashion and creativity.
Yeah, so I came here 18, went straight to college. I skipped 11th and 12th grade because it was pointless.
Yeah. The American education system, people.
So I really enjoyed it. I got a great education. My parents and I was co-parented, and they all pushed me towards a real degree like accounting, and it was difficult for me.
That's what you were trying. That's what you went to your undergrad for, was accounting?
Yeah.
That is freaking hilarious. I know this man. He's like such a scatterbrain. I can't imagine him being an accountant. Oh my God. He'd be like the accountant that has like millions of piles of stuff everywhere because he's really a creative.
but it was a challenge. I got through it. I am dyslexic. So there was a real challenge. I had to really, really focus.
Wow.
And about that time, I opened my first store on Park Avenue.
Wait. Okay, slow the roll. Like, he just got done telling us he's this kid in high school or in college who skipped 11th and 12th grade, by the way, because his Indian education was superior, I think. That's probably why.
No, actually, because I went to the international school, so my education came from Cambridge.
Oh, okay. That's why, because yes. But anyway, fancy Cambridge. That's so cool. So anyway, what he's saying is that he was in college for accounting, which wasn't his thing, but he stuck with it. I think because we've had conversations before that you've told me that it was like other people were telling you what to be. It wasn't really up to you to choose. You didn't have really the right to choose what you were going to major in. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay. So which is common in a lot of people, that they go to their undergraduate based on what their parents think, what their culture thinks, or what they think. They're really thinking more about how to have a job instead of how to follow a passion,
right?
Which is interesting because really the concept to me of college is about expansion.
Right.
It's about growing. It's about becoming more. And then your master's degree, is it more about like your master's degree or your professional degree is more about, okay, now what am I going to do in the world? So, if I go to college and it ends up being that accounting is what I'm passionate about, then I'm going to go probably and get the extra 2 years so I can be a CPA. But I figured out, but I didn't know when I went in that it was accounting. I just kind of like took classes right? Isn't that how college is supposed to be?
Well,
that's the way I understood it was set up.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah.
But somehow we in America, who are always goal driven, everything has to have a result. We can't just go with the flow with things. We end up doing this thing with our kids that is like force them to choose what they're passionate about, who they are, way too early, and then they get locked into careers that they're making a lot of money at, but that don't make them happy. Have you ever seen that happen, Devinder?
Yeah, I really saw that, and I saw that in my store.
Yeah. Oh, back to the store. So again, here's a college student at UCF, and he opens a store on Park Avenue. I don't get how does that happen?
I've always been blessed. I got the right people.
But you haven't told us when you started designing. Because here you are, you're 21 or 22, and you're telling us you're opening a store on Park
19.
Avenue. You're 19, and you're telling us you're opening a store on Park Avenue. Jesus. What were you putting in this store? Because you haven't told us anything about your road to design. You were telling us you were in college.
My dad made a bad investment. I went in, saved it, and then I grew it.
Okay, I don't understand what that means. Be very clear with that.
So my father invested money with a gentleman, and it didn't turn out right. So I took over. I stabilized that business, and I started.
And what was that business, Devinder?
It was apparel.
Okay, so your dad, so there we go. That's the backstory. So his dad was in the apparel industry. His dad's business got into financial distress. Devinder came in and helped right the ship. Do I have that so far?
Yeah.
At 19, he helped right the ship, because not his dad's fault, but we all make some bad business investments. And so then
I turned it around.
Devinder turned it around, and then because he had this apparel, he opened a store on Park Avenue. Now, had you already started designing at this point?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
So what I was doing was I was finding young designers, and actually I have a good eye for fashion.
Yes.
And I'm able to pick the trends. I don't know how and why, but it's instincts.
Okay.
It cannot be taught. It's something you're born with.
Okay.
So I'm blessed with that, and I was carrying other designers,
Okay, so you were selling other people's things.
Yes.
You were helping other people who were designers get their stuff out.
Yeah, and I had really at that point no intention of really getting into design.
Okay.
It was one day when a gentleman walked in, and he wanted a job as a alteration person. And when I looked at his resume, he was the pattern maker for Oscar de la Renta.
Oh my God, he was the pattern maker. He came into a little shop on Park Avenue in Winter Park, and he turned out to be a pattern maker for Oscar de la Renta.
Yeah, and he was actually.
Isn't this interesting, people? Like this whole thing, like the serendipity of life.
Yeah, so like right from the start, I had the right people.
Yes.
And it's so important to surround yourself with the right people.
Yes.
This man came and he was beat up because he had gone to other stores and everyone rejected him.
Wow.
I embraced him.
Yes.
And I brought it out. I took my sketches to him, and he brought them to life.
Oh my gosh. So you had been sketching on the side in the background. Okay. All this time. Okay. Wait, let me just review. Leave India after a massacre, come to the US, go to college, write your dad's business, not like what you're doing in college, but then taking that, and instead of getting bogged down by that, opening a store, helping other people sell their items, and then running into somebody who can take what you've been dreaming about and bring that to life.
And also, there was the best part is the tuition.
With a tuition, what do you mean?
I paid for tuition for my brothers and my sisters, so no one has student loans.
Oh my goodness. Back then, when you were like a kid, you paid their tuition?
Yeah.
When you were like 19, 20, 21, you were paying your siblings tuition?
Well, their tuition, yeah, I did.
He says that as if like a duh, like everyone does that. No, they don't. But was that because your dad's business had failed and he couldn't afford to?
No. My dad's a very, very shrewd and very good business person.
Yes.
He just came to America, and he was so successful in India that I think he lost his footing when.
Yeah, it's a different culture, right? The business culture is different.
And the amount of respect he got anywhere he went to in Calcutta, he didn't get that here.
Oh, that affected his ego. Okay.
But I realized that. And I realized how much he had and how much we as a family had lost and what little we came with. And I didn't want to put any more pressure on him. And, we all lived with him in everything. So it took a lot of pressure. It was easy.
Wow. That's really interesting, because I want to make sure you are following that story, because it's like the story of Devinder. Like every time I talk to Devinder, I find out something like new and fascinating about him. This man has been on a journey. I mean, that's for sure. But what he's saying is that he saw that his father, who was having a hard time acculturating, basically, business wise at the beginning of their time in the U.S., that he saw that like having to educate his children was probably going to be like too much of a financial and emotional burden. And so Devinder was doing so well with what he was doing that he was like, well, of course I'm going to pay for my siblings college. It's like, duh. But it's like it felt like a responsibility.
Well, they did. My sister was an important part of the business. My brother was an important part of the business. So
it was like a family business.
Yeah, and all three of us knew that this is the best way to take some pressure off of my father.
Yes.
And for him to be more successful in other areas.
And
focus on more other things.
Yes.
And so we worked as a family.
Lovely. Isn't that lovely? That's so wonderful. So that's just basic. And then what is the name of your brand?
So Originals was the name of my store.
Originals was the name of your store. Was it just called Originals only?
It was Originals off Park Avenue.
So it's same as it is now.
Well, I changed it from off to on Park Avenue now.
Oh, because you were off Park Avenue before?
No, I was still.
Okay. You changed it from Originals of Park Avenue to Originals on Park Avenue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, by this time I graduated. My sister got married. My brother went on. And
did you guys have those Indian weddings with the elephants? No, I just have to ask. No. That's a total stereotype, by the way, people.
I think my family's a little more low-key.
But that's a thing.
That is a thing.
That's a thing.
I think you try not to draw.
One of my friends just showed me pictures. She was at it was like the whole thing. It was like she said the wedding must have cost $1 million.
Yeah, I think my family's a little bit more low-key.
Okay.
So everyone went on. My father was successful. He had become very successful.
Right. He regained his success
very, very quickly, and I knew he would.
Yes.
He started a leather handbag business, which my brother took over, and he was starting to work with my brother. My brother was starting to work with him.
Okay.
Originals had like kind of peaked.
When you say peaked, what does that mean?
Peaked, like like either now I open another store.
Oh yes.
Or
I can only generate so much revenue out of this space, and it's really not enough revenue to make it like it's worth it, but sort of not worth it. And so the next step is.
It was quite worth it.
Oh, it was worth it. Oh, so you're just saying it couldn't go any further.
It couldn't go. Yeah.
And this is before the internet.
This is before the internet.
Yes.
And I decided, and it was like I was starting to feel suffocated.
Yes.
I needed more. I realized I was had a dream. I had to go out, and just Winter Park wasn't enough for me.
Oh, so what he's saying is that he realized that his dream was bigger. That Winter Park is fantastic, but that his dream was really about sharing his fashion with the world. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Well, that's similar to why I started this show and why I started doing why I started The Price of Joy, because I realized that in my tiny office,
yes,
in Dr. Phillips, I can only see about 20 people a week. And that's not a lot of impact, right? And I feel like we all have the same mission, but a different tool that we've been given to do it. Because I feel like we all have the mission of healing the world,
right? And
so I'm healing the world by sharing ideas and messages of enlightenment. You're healing the world by doing what, Devinder?
By my creations that I think women get addicted to.
Oh my God. Oh, like me? Yeah. Okay. Let me just tell you, I remember the first time I went to, we keep segueing, but I hope that's okay with everybody. But I show up at Devinder's first opening, and I said to myself before I left my house, I'll spend a couple $100, right? And then I get there, and I was just like, I wanted to buy the entire store. I was like, well, let me try this on, and let me try this on, and let me try this on. And his items aren't expensive. That's the thing. He has a wonderful range of prices. He has beautiful beaded bags. He has fringed handbags. I wish I had. I have several of my Devinders, let's just call it that, at my house in St. Petersburg. And so I wish I could do a little show of everything. But my purse that he custom made a purse for me with purple fringe. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, it's fantastic. But every time I go into his store, I'm thinking, okay, I'm only spending $100 or $200, and I always spend $500, $600, $700, $800. What I'm saying is maybe I buy some purses that are $20, $30, and a caftan that's $20 or $30, and a skirt that's $30. But then I see something like this, I see something like this and I must have it. Right. And I'm like, so then I'm like, how much is that one, Devinder? And then it's like, that's when it's like $200. I'm like, $200 for something original, something that no one else will ever wear. I absolutely could spend $200 for something that no one else will be wearing. This is not what's at the Loft, and this is not what's at the Gap. And don't get me wrong, I have tons of clothes. Like my basics are Loft, Gap, those kind of places. But then I like to have fashion to like zhuzh it up, whether it's a purse or a beautiful, like, what do you call this? Like, what do you call this kind of a shirt? A tunic. Yeah, a beautiful tunic like this. It just like adds so much to. I get so many compliments every time I'm wearing one of Devinder's items. Okay, Devinder, go ahead.
So I closed the store. I quickly went to design school. I got accepted into every design school in America.
Wow.
I chose Rhode Island School of Design. I became very close with the professor. I was in an accelerated summer program, and they told me to go home and create jobs. They said, what you know cannot be taught in school. I went to India, and because I was trying to beef up my portfolio for the St. Martin School of Design in London. But
because you wanted to go there?
Yeah, I did.
What's it called?
St. Martin School of Design.
The St. Martin School of Design.
But quickly, what I found was, and it was bought to me by my father, was a beaded bag, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the artists that do that bag. I love the craftsmanship, and I studied it. I studied it for 2 years. It's the
craftsmanship of creating beaded bags
or beading
in general. You studied beading for 2 years. That's why his things have this lovely beading
and embroidery. And then I made a promise to my father that I would not touch leather.
Because that was his.
That was his. I would never compete with my father.
Okay.
And so it's been very, very tough. It's very challenging to come up with fabrics and stuff that are not leather and have that value that is attached to leather. But,
I see.
So I went to handmade. And
what do you mean by hand? Oh, you went to making things handmade.
So these people who work for me or with me are artists. We call them masters.
Okay, I think it's important that we really like highlight what you just said, because what you're saying is that everything that you sell is handmade. Almost. It's not almost. Most everything you sell is handmade. It's not made on some production line. Never. Nothing's made on a production line. It's made, there's somebody sitting there with whether it's a sewing machine or hand and needle. No sewing machines? Is that?
No, the old-fashioned
sewing machines. Yeah. Or hand, like sewing with a needle. I know all of you just are ready to like go out and like run to the store. He's going to get flooded with business today. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, we need it.
Right, because so his new store is on Park Avenue. It's in front of the Park Plaza Hotel. It's called Originals on Park Avenue, and it's open what days and what times, Devinder?
It's open from Wednesday to Sunday. 11 to 6 and by appointment.
Okay, so it's closed on Mondays and Tuesdays then.
Yeah. So my vision for this is to be the first house, like a fashion house in Orlando, based in Orlando.
Nice.
Have a studio. Like if I took this and moved it to LA, it would be a different story.
Yes.
If I moved it to LA, it would be a different story. But it would be the first studio where my apprentices, where my assistants are working. We are working together. And creating.
And so you might bring somebody in who's new, and then they might spin off their own thing under your brand.
Yes, I have. And the thing is, it's the first place to see a Casey Malhan bag now. And I think it's just the fact that it's like a studio environment.
Yes.
And then when it comes to clothing, even with like you, I've got your measurements. I've got a pattern made for you, so I can fit you. I can design for you. We have fabrics there. And
I can come in and say like, okay, this is what I have in mind. Devinder, what do you think? And then you can custom make it for me. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And oh no, I'm in trouble.
That was also. So a lot of my clients will just look at a fabric and say, dude, I love this. Do what you want to do with it.
Yes.
Just like when you told me you love that bag.
Yes.
What you didn't like about it.
Yes.
I fixed it.
He did. He did.
For you.
Yes, he did.
And didn't that bring you joy?
It brought me so much joy. It made me so happy. I was so happy. I'm still so happy.
So
Devinder makes me happy.
You make me happy too. But back to the store, like I really feel like my tagline right now is "Hold me like you love me."
Oh,
So, like the piece of me that you carry, the piece of Casey Malhan that you carry,
yes.
is a part of.
Oh my goodness. This is such a fantastic thing he's saying. He's saying that he's full of love. He's full of love. And the bags represent love.
They do.
And they are tokens of love. Yesterday, remember Rebecca was talking about tokens and giving items like a sense of like meaning that then helps to regenerate you. That's what you're talking about. Like these bags. This is how I have thought about fashion my entire life. I've been into fashion my entire life. And I've always thought of it as a way for me to externally project my internal mood or to adjust my mood. If I'm like in a dark mood, I try not to put on black. Right. I try to put on bright colors and like lots of jewelry, because when I do that, what happens is I notice that people smile at me more,
right,
which causes me to smile back. And then over the course of the day, it starts to like just change my my internal spirit. So fashion has always been something.
So it's really important to say another thing. I don't think I don't look at me as a creator. I think it comes through me. I'm a vessel.
Yes.
And I named my company after my grandparents.
Yes.
Krishna was my grandma. Charan was my grandpa. And Malhan is our family name. I never met my grandma, but I have a strong connection. I think she is within me.
Yes.
And I have this like really weird thing of like Casey Malhan is someone different and I am someone different. So I love and I adore Casey Malhan. It's not me.
It's a brand.
It is a brand.
It's not who you are.
It's not who I am.
How is Casey Malhan different than who you are? This is interesting.
Devinder can make mistakes and
okay,
not perfect, but Casey Malhan is an energy that's perfect.
I see.
It's an energy of just not me. It's the
well. This is like what you're talking about is so inspiring to me. Because I'm thinking that's what the price of joy is.
Yeah, and
the price of joy is like an energy that I'm creating, that I'm trying to put out there into the universe. And Cindy Price Fabico is this fallible person who sometimes is like rude and like short-tempered and
just human beings.
Yeah.
And Casey Malhan is an energy of the masters that work in India. All the people that we don't see, all the people that are behind the scenes that don't even want recognition are anonymous, that make Casey Malhan what it is. It's the buyers that buy it.
Yes.
Consumers who consume.
Yes, and everything. Then it becomes just like this greater and greater and greater energy. It expands. It doesn't contract.
And
oh my God, this is like an amazing.
What's really like caught me off guard was the amount of people that collected my work.
Really?
Yeah.
So speaking of that, like if somebody wanted to if somebody doesn't live in Orlando, Florida, or Winter Park, or close to where we are, and they wanted, say, a Casey Malhan bag or a tunic that was made by Devinder and is part of the Casey Malhan, what would they do? How would they do that?
Well, we have a website called CaseyMalhan.com.
Okay. Can you spell that for everybody?
Yeah, K for King, C for Charlie, MALHAN.com.
Okay. One N.
Yeah, one N. And then we're very, very active on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
You get huge orders from there.
Really?
People like all around the world. There've been clients that I have.
So you'll put something up on there, and then that will inspire somebody to say, "I have to have that today."
And can you send it?
Wow. See, I've been talking to people about the power of Instagram. That was just like huge. So it's mainly on Instagram or some on Facebook also? Both.
And the thing is, since I started when I was 18, I have clients all over the world.
Yes. Yes, you do.
And because of Casey Malhan, when I showed in New York, we shipped around the world.
Did you hear that? He used to show in New York. Go on.
Well, we're still going back there.
Oh, you go back? You go to Fashion Week?
I
want to come.
I took a 4-year break. So
okay. Okay, this is one of my fantasies, the Academy Awards and Fashion Week in New York.
So I took a 4-year break, revamped the collection, revamped the company, got the structure done again, and I created another label called Willaroo.
Oh, what's Willaroo?
Willaroo is about a surfer lifestyle.
What's it? How do you spell it?
WILLA, like Will.
A.
Rue, R-U-E, like the road.
Willaroo.
Rue,
Willaroo.
and my son's last name, my son's middle name is Rue. So it has, it's a pun. So it's like you can will a road.
Oh my gosh, it's like the price of joy is a pun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like see how Devinder and I are very aligned.
Then I created a line called Zion Rasta,
Oh, another brand.
which is not
Zion Rasta?
yeah, which is more about one love. It's more about
One love.
yeah, one love. The Bob Marley
Yeah, Bob Marley.
concept, not the drugs and all.
No,
of that.
no,
I
right.
don't believe in
Yeah, no, Devinder's like my sober friend.
I am so
Like we go out, I drink, he doesn't.
I do not. I think I can. People have this misconception that you're more creative when you smoke pot or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't subscribe to that.
Yeah, right.
And I love Bob Marley's thing about one love. And the funny thing is when I design Zion Rasta or
Yeah.
for Zion Rasta, actually I'm listening to Jimi Hendrix.
How interesting. Oh, that is interesting.
I love.
So
Jimi
what
Hendrix.
would be okay? So you gave an example, like in Casey Malhan, I might find tunics, I might find beaded bags. In what was the second brand?
Willaroo.
In Willaroo, I would find what?
You find these tunics that are really great and they're really inexpensive. It's like
Like the tunics, like the ones that are like
Yeah.
$20, the one with the gathering right here.
$20-$25.
Yeah, $25.
I think we've sold thousands.
Is your skirt, your wrap skirt? His wrap skirt, people, is fantastic.
we sold out, but
Is that also a Willaroo?
that's Casey Malhan.
That's Casey Malhan. Okay, I'm trying to figure out. Not that it matters, like which one's which.
yeah, but we're
So is Casey Malhan's more high end?
Casey Malhan is more high end.
Okay, and then Willaroo
Is
and
so yeah, Villaroo is more
in the middle.
Middle.
Middle. Okay, and then what about
Zion Rasta is still a baby.
okay? What do you envision that to be like?
Buffalo Soldier.
Who's your buyer for Casey Malhan? Who would be like the person who would want? Tell the camera, tell the people out there who they
Well,
are.
Let's just say who I've been with. Bergdorf Goodman, Anthropology.
Your things are sold there.
Yeah, they've carried my collection. I worked with Mrs. Oh, okay, let's skip that one. Stuart Weissman,
Stuart Weissman. Okay.
his wife.
Okay.
I worked with a lot of other designers. Iris Appel, the fashion bird. She found me when on my first show in New York,
Wow.
and she's been collecting my work for 16 years.
Okay. Wow. Wait, are you talking about that lady, that older lady who's in all those pictures? She's very striking with the round black glasses and the white hair.
Yeah, I was stupid enough.
Her name is, what is her name? Iris Appel.
Yeah.
Yes, I love her. She has an Instagram.
Yes, she does, and she's much older now, so mobility is a big issue. But I, from time to time, call her up for advice. She used to come and see me every time I was in New York.
Wow.
Now it's a little more difficult.
Yes,
for her.
because of her.
Iris invited me for dinner. I didn't know who she was, and I declined.
Oh my gosh, this is a great story.
She told me she could make something out of me, and I was
Oh, and you were like,
oh wait.
you didn't understand.
I didn't. I was overwhelmed. That was my first show in New York.
Oh, right.
And there was a line for
There was too many things coming at you. I know exactly what that's like.
And the show ended, and we were still writing orders 3 hours after the show. And Iris is sitting over there.
She's waiting and waiting.
No, she was being very supportive.
Yes.
She was just like supporting me. I think she realized I was young, my first time, and
How old were you?
at that point?
Yes.
That was about 16 years ago.
So, okay, so he's like in his early 50s. So he was like in his late 30s. Yeah, late 30s. Okay, got it.
But come on, Long. First time showing in New York, it's
It's a big deal.
It's nerve-wracking.
Oh, of course it would be.
And then I didn't. I thought I would like open the booth and go like to these other things, and I didn't realize like, wow.
Yeah, you're not going to have any time to see anybody else.
I didn't realize what I had on my hand.
Right, right.
I didn't realize what I created.
You didn't know the power that was. Let's go back to what he said. The power that was surging through him. It wasn't him. He's the hands But spirit is directing him and giving him his inspiration and helping him to cut. But sometimes the body gets tired. And the body gets tired. The spirit's still ready to go, but the body's like, I can't take anymore. And that's when and let's talk about that for a minute.
So for my life, I think it's all about balance.
Yes.
The way I've been designed as my body, my mind, and everything, it's all about balance.
Yes.
I spoke about when I don't have energy, I don't think it's God's work or
right
in my direction.
Right.
I do take a lot of time out.
Yes.
To take care of myself.
To regenerate, self-care.
Yeah, I believe, and this is strange, that when we as artists give so much of ourselves that we're taking something and we're giving so much of it away. I also have this weird concept. That's why some of these artists die so young.
Okay, so I'm gonna paraphrase what I think you're saying, because I believe in this too, and I'm gonna say my belief and see if we're in alignment. So spirit is what gives us like a lot of our energy, and we use our bodies to like produce what spirit is directing us to. But sometimes if we give away too much spirit, we actually lose our spirit. It's like the candle is just flickering so dimly, and that we sometimes can die. Like the body dies. And then do you believe then that spirit comes back in somebody else?
I don't know.
I mean, like, I don't believe spirit ever dies. I believe the physical body dies, but spirit continues.
Well, I do believe that, because when I said my grandmother and all of these.
Yes, of course you believe it. Yes.
Not me.
Yes.
I believe that. I really feel it's important to do a timeout.
Yes.
Close the door, do a timeout, regenerate yourself.
Yeah, I was trying to get a hold of Devinder to talk about the show, and it was like he just wasn't even replying to me, wasn't even responding. But then when he comes up for air, then he's like, and then I'm busy. Then he's like, "Are you there? Are you there?" Yeah. Because we're both the same. We like go, and then we shut off.
But there are enough assistants, and there's a big framework to keep everything afloat. So I'm blessed to. I have to take a time out.
Yeah, you've got a good team behind you.
I do have a very strong team. I think so. At that point is when it's very, very important. It's very difficult right before a huge fashion show, before Fashion Week, before you show a collection in New York. It's very.
Do you see what somebody's saying there? I can hear you very clearly, but can barely hear your guest. You have to project your voice.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So that's better. Thank you, Cindy.
So, yeah, I truly believe that we need to do a timeout. We need to, and that's the only way that you will be able to create going forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And keeping it fresh.
That's the only way you can sustain the energy, is to take time, like, and just rest and rejuvenate. So I'm going to use that as a little bit of a segue to talk about the idea of retreat. Like retreat can be, is a word that can be used in many different ways. But what basically to me, retreat means an opportunity to rest, restore, rejuvenate, reconnect,
right?
All those things. And I think that for me, like I've been going on retreat for years. And generally when I go on retreat, I retreat one of two ways. I might just go on a trip, with a friend or by myself and with no plan and just like figure it out when I get there. Or I also like to like once a year go on an actual physical organized retreat where they're kind of directing you to do different things.
You don't have to think.
And you don't have to think about how am I going to like expand, because that's what I think retreats are about. They're really in the end about expansion. So if you visit my website, thepriceofjoy.com, there's a retreats page, and I have 2 upcoming retreats. One is in Greece on sailboats in October. We are going to be on the Aegean Sea, and I have an ad up. If you can look at that on Facebook or on Instagram, other places, YouTube, about it. And there's a lot of information on my website. And then I have another retreat in St. Petersburg in July. So I would love it if you would check that out and consider coming with me. So Devinder, what I want to do now is I want to.
They can hear me.
Yeah. Well, now that they can hear you, what I want you to do, it's almost like, here's how I think about the mic. It's like almost like it's this thing that I'm like romancing.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
More experience than me.
No, of course.
You actually scored big because I don't do interviews.
I know. I feel so lucky.
Only
He
for-
doesn't.
I don't.
He only for special friends.
Because I think my work, fashion, it speaks for itself.
It does, but I want you to understand that you're doing today, and this is sort of how I'm going to wrap things up because I want people to, because we've already been going almost an hour.
Wow. We need to come back.
Yeah, we'll absolutely do that for sure. So what I want you to think about is this, is that yes, your fashion does speak for itself, 100%, absolutely. But what you just shared was the story of an artist and the spirit of an artist. And so what that's about, like, not so it's about selling your fashion, but what it's really about is inspiring others.
Which is
And
really important.
and having others like think like, wow, like this guy has quite a story. Like if he can do it,
anyone
I can do it, because anyone can do it. If spirit is directing you, just move into that. Don't listen to your ego that's
Right.
telling you, who do you think you are, to, for me, start some radio show, like try to sell a podcast, like who do you think you are? I'm me, Cindy Price Fabico, but spirit, the spirit of joy is directing me. And what Devinder was saying is the spirit that's directing him, he's given it a name. It's Casey Malhan.
Yep.
And that spirit embodies like what he's trying to put out into the world.
But don't you also agree that it takes a lot of discipline
Oh my
and
gosh.
sacrifice?
Yes, so much discipline and sacrifice. I mean, people often say to me, how do you do everything that you do?
Yes, but you're disciplined.
Okay, how funny. Like my watch is talking to me about what Casey Malhan. It's like hilarious. Oh, that's the Apple Watch.
So I really do feel if you stay focused on your goals in life, anyone can do whatever they set their mind to.
Stay focused.
Yeah, and I think being true to yourself, I think discipline is extremely important.
So how do you keep yourself disciplined? Just give us a couple tips on that.
Well, like I do a timeout, and even though I love you, like you're talking to my assistants.
Yes.
Because Devinder needs space.
Yes.
I have a 9 o'clock curfew for myself.
Yes.
You know, I obey that.
Yes.
There are a lot of times I feel it will feel lonely on top.
Yes.
As you get more successful, more people
Fall away.
Yes.
It's interesting.
And then you have to be comfortable just being by yourself.
Yes.
And discipline also to me is eating right, sleeping right, the whole
package.
The whole package.
And what about spiritual practice? Do you have any spiritual
I
practice
meditate
that
a
you do?
lot.
You meditate a lot.
A lot.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm totally in agreement with everything Devinder is saying. What he's saying is if you're going to actually achieve your goals, you must be disciplined. It doesn't just happen. You could be the most gifted person in the world, and if you don't have some level of discipline, then you're going to get off track. So for me, those ingredients are a spiritual practice, which Devinder also agrees with, eating very healthy, which Devinder also agrees with, moving my body. Is that something that's important to you?
Yeah, very
Moving
important.
my body is very important. Being social, but understanding when I need to not be social.
Exactly.
So like all those things, and I'm sure there's others, so I'm not trying to say that's everything. It's just, I'm just free associating here. But those kind of things will allow a person, and I think there's one other. I think it's planning. I'm a huge planner.
That's the
Like
only way to
I've already got next week's show planned.
Right.
Like I already have my guests lined up.
Yeah.
Right. That is key, because if you're trying to like operate by the seat of your pants, then things will tend to fall apart. When Devinder got here this morning, I had everything ready to go. And so then we could talk a little before we got started. I mean, I think those levels of discipline, I don't like getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I just don't. But in order to make this show happen, in order to get up, put my makeup on, fix my hair. There have been days I've done this show without makeup, just so you know. But anyway, to do all that and then do this show, get off the air here, get in my car, drive to Dr. Phillips, see clients all day, get back in my car, come back home. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I'm an Uber Eats at this point, right? Like I don't have time to cook or shop. And then like talk to the people who've been doing things for me in the background all day.
Right.
Like the people who've been like, I have people who help me, like somebody helped me create that video. Obviously I didn't make the video for myself. Somebody who's setting up this radio studio, somebody who's like, I'm working with to do the retreats in Greece. Like I have to keep up with all these people. And if I'm going to do these things, I don't want to do them in a vacuum, because if my purpose is to create joy, then I have to also be doing social media.
Right.
And so I have to be like getting my word out there. And I do have people who create memes for me. Okay. So I'm not making all those memes that I post. I have a person who works with me, one person, and she makes memes for me that are signature memes. And because I'm wanting to like create something, but she and I work together on what's going to be the messages that we're going to be putting out.
Right.
So, and then, but all the intros to my memes and things I write myself, right? That's my voice, and I'm writing it, and I'm posting. Like this morning, part of why I have to get up so early is because I have to post about the show with Devinder, put a couple things in my story. Like these things, like they're important, but that's the discipline. You brought that up.
And also the execution.
The execution.
And then the team has to have the same vision.
Yes.
The team has to drop their ego.
Oh my gosh. Well, so yeah, so that's one of the issues that I'm having at my other brand. And so I own a business called Life Skills Resource Group, is that feeling of like, not about anybody, I'm not going to say it's anybody's ego, but our spirits might have different ideas about what should be happening.
Yeah, but
and so that becomes like this dark energy for me.
But when you get that team and everyone's focused,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, and
yes.
And I'm so blessed right now. I want to thank all of them.
Oh yeah, say their names. No?
No.
Okay. He just wants to thank everybody on his team,
on my team.
all the people, and he's smiling so broadly. Smile to the camera, because it's so cool to see like how his face just lights up.
Yeah, I love my team. I really appreciate them. I cannot thank them enough. They take care of me. I mean, there's no words right now.
So I'm gonna move into the things to close out the show, because I want people to actually watch this. And I think sometimes if they say too many minutes when they see how long a video is, then they're like, I'm out. Like I can't stay connected for that long. So then they just like don't even tune in, which is too bad, because this is the kind of show which is I encourage my clients to watch podcasts and listen to podcasts and things like that. And I always tell them this: doesn't matter how long it is, because even if you just listen to 5 minutes here and there, you're going to get something. I believe that about the show that I'm doing.
Right.
I believe that if somebody tunes in and only listens for 5 minutes, they're going to take something positive away. It's going to improve their day. That's what I'm trying to do here. I am trying to help improve people's day by letting spirit direct me. I don't plan out what I'm going to say other than just a basic framework, and I just like talk. Anyway, so I'm going to read this from my book, The Book of Awakenings by Mark Nepo. I just want to let you take a look at that. It's a fantastic book. I've been reading it to you every day. And the reading for today, May 30th, is A String of Todays. If not now, when? Since surviving cancer, there is a burning bit of truth I live with every day. Sometimes it doesn't let me sleep, but most of the time, it brings me great joy. No one uttered this to me, and I didn't arrive at it or work at it. It just revealed itself. The way a broken bone makes us re-reel the immense pressure of air. And this bit of truth is, if not now, when? Just sit with that. It keeps coming down to this. There is no tomorrow, only a string of todays. Still, like most of us, I was somehow taught to dream forward, to fill the future with everything that matters. Someday, I will be happy. When I am rich, I will be free. When I find the right person, then I will know love. I will be loving and happy and truthful and genuine then. But almost dying seared the sense of future from me. And though I expect to live a very long time, though I make plans and look forward to the many things I plan, I have no choice but to dream now. I start out, as I always have, pouring the best of me into an imagined time yet to be. But then I hear, if not now, when? And the best of me floods back to the only place it truly knows, now. This is this all helps me understand a story about Jesus very differently. I am thinking of the young rich merchant who approaches Jesus after his Sermon on the Mount. He admires Jesus so, is truly touched, and wants to join him. So he asks with great sincerity what he needs to do, what arrangements need to be made. Jesus opens his arms and says, "Come with me now. Drop everything and come." The young merchant stumbles and cites his many yes buts. He can't leave his business so suddenly. He has to leave word. He'll need to gather fresh clothes. How much money should he bring? With open arms, Jesus simply says one more time, "Come with me now." How often do we all rehearse this moment, putting off love, truth, joy, and even God, citing our many yes buts to ourselves when all we have to do, hard and simple as it is drop everything and come now. Wow.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So here's some things. Here's some recommendations from Mark Nepo on what somebody would do if they wanted to sort of like try to move more closely in living in this manner. They might breathe slowly and meditate on something dear to you that you have been working toward. It might center on being happy, knowing love, finding a partner, or learning how to play music, or how to understand the truth of your experience more deeply. But just breathe slowly and meditate on that, on what is your heart's desire. Breathe deeply. And for the moment, dream about it now. Eliminate the efforts to build it tomorrow. For the moment, imagine that whatever portion of this work you are to know or achieve or inhabit can only happen today. Inhale deeply and take the energy of everything you've planned and put off back into your life today. Rather than feeling overwhelmed with all of this, try to let this energy simply fill you as you move through the day. Wow.
Wow.
Wow, right? So every day I read something. I don't know if you've had a chance to catch my show, but every day I read something from this book, and it always amazes me that because I'm reading I'm not planning my show based on the book. I'm just like reading something from the book, and every single reading from the book has directly related to the topic that I've shared or that I've talked about with my guest. And to me that's spirit, because this book, right, is spirit aligned. This book is made, from spirit, and Mark Nepo was just like his spirit was talking through him. Right. Just like I believe spirit is talking through me, and Devinder believes spirit moves his muscles to like create ideas and beauty, right? We all have a way. So I'm going to let Devinder choose one of these cards from my language of letting go box, and let's see what we have for today. And after you pull it out, like hold the front of it up to the camera so they can see what it is, and then you're going to read it. So
I just took off my glasses.
Oh, you took off your glasses. So I'll hold it up for him while he. And this is like the ultimate Devinder card. And the title of that, if you guys can see it, is Showing Vulnerability. Yeah. And that's what I love so much about my friend Devinder, is that he is a vulnerable male, right? There's no ego. And the back of it, he's going to read it. It says, "Today I will." So go ahead and read this for us, Devinder. Today I will.
Today I will disclose who I am to someone with whom I feel safe. I will risk being vulnerable, even though I've always held back from doing so. God help me show people who I really am and not who I think they want me to be.
What does that mean to you, Devinder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Letting someone in.
Like opening up, and in doing that, what did that say? What did it say would happen if you let somebody in? If you let somebody in, I really am, and know who it's just basically saying if you let somebody in, you're like channeling God together.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's happening. You're channeling God together, and like two people channeling God creates this like a tremendous like light, right? And imagine if everyone started channeling God. What would that be? Like, what would the world be like? It would light up, like with so much beauty, wouldn't it?
Yep.
That's just such a beautiful thought. So the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to do the mudra for the day. But before that, I'm going to talk just briefly about my shows for the rest of the week. So as you know, that this week my shows are about creativity. And yesterday I had Rebecca Lane, and that was a fascinating conversation. If you have a chance, you can go back to Facebook, or you can go to Cindy Price Fabico on YouTube. All my shows are there. And my shows stream live on my website, The Price of Joy, but we don't have them there archived yet. We will at some point. Tomorrow I have Ada Constanza Mueller, which Devinder knows her.
Yeah, she's a wonderful lady.
And how do you know Ada, Devinder?
Ada was one of my assistants that we brought in for one of my events.
Yes, and so the name of her brand is Party with Ada.
Yeah.
And she did just an amazing job. So
Hire her.
Hire her, right. Hire Ada, right. So say that again.
Hire her.
And why? Why would you suggest somebody hire Ada? What is it about her?
She's very thorough. She takes the vision, at least for me, had the vision that I had. I laid it out for her, and she executed it.
She executed your vision.
But she also had to work with my team.
And she had to work with your team.
Which is a dance.
Yeah, it's a dance. It's a dance to work with somebody's team, because you don't always have access to the creator. And so yes, but like that is the thing that I really think is so amazing, is how these a person like Ada can take a vision and then make an amazing party.
Right.
And you don't have to worry. It was a Bollywood party. And so she just really went all out. But anyway, so that's Ada. She's going to be here tomorrow. And on Friday, I have Gigi Fabres Cordero. And Gigi is an artist, a visual artist. So she paints. She is also a creator of lotions and perfumes and scrubs, things like that. She also is a creativity and wellness coach. And finally, she and I are going to be doing a retreat together in July in St. Petersburg, which is available on my retreats page. The next week, you notice that Devinder talked about one of the important things in his discipline practice is health. Eating healthy, spiritual, that kind of thing. Next week, my series, it's going to be on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, is going to be about holistic wellness. I'm going to have, usually there'll be 2 or 3 other people in the studio with me, and they're all going to be either energy healers, functional medicine doctors, acupuncture doctors, wellness coaches, and we are going to have a roundtable conversation. We're going to all discuss together what they believe are the best practices for health and wellness. So Monday is going to be about overall wellness. Tuesday, so I should have written down my rundown, because see, now in the moment that I have to think of it, but I know Monday's overall wellness. Tuesday, I think, is nutrition. And Wednesday, I think, is spiritual practices, but I could be wrong. And so we're going to center our conversation on each day around one of these topics, because there's so much to be talked about holistic wellness, because it's what I 100% believe in. So Devinder, do Sikhs do mudras? They do. They do. Okay. I was wondering. And what do you consider, when you think about a mudra, what is the purpose of a mudra?
It brings you focus, brings you,
I guess it's hard for me to explain that right now. It's like a teaching for the day.
Yeah, it's like a teaching for the day. It's a way, how about this? It's a way to direct your day with starting out with a thought or an idea that energetically keeps you attuned with spirit.
Right. And Sikhs do a certain type of yoga called Kundalini yoga.
Oh, really? Yeah. Sikhs do Kundalini?
That's
the Kundalini. Yeah, that's all about breathing. And there's tons of mudras in Kundalini.
Yeah, no, that's our...
Is that did Sikhs create Kundalini?
Yeah.
That's right. That's why Kundalini people wear turbans and white. Oh my gosh, I just put it all together. And Devinder was telling me white is a good thing for him.
Yes.
And that's why. That's so interesting. I just learned something new.
Yeah.
I love learning new things. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so the mudra today is the Panadhana. is the Pradhana mudra, and it's the gesture of surrender. It's about letting go. And so Devinder's gonna hold his hands up high so you can see them, so you can see them in the camera. And I'm gonna touch the tips of the thumbs to the tips of the middle and ring finger of the same hand, right? Extend the index and little fingers. Bring the tips of the extended little and index fingers together. Bring them together like this. Bring them together.
Oh.
Right. So you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Bring the tips of the extended little and index fingers together. And actually it's upside down. So there you go. It goes like that. Okay. Now you probably can't see him, but you've got the idea. Okay. Keep your mudra. Keep your mudra down, but relax the shoulders back and down with the elbows held slightly away from the body and the spine naturally erect. And now I'm going to read the mantra, Devinder, that goes with this mudra. The mantra for the Pranidhana mudra, the gesture of surrender with the core quality of letting go, is, take a deep breath. As I let go of the need to control, my life becomes an effortless flow. Okay, let's breathe in and let's say that one more time. As I let go of the need to control, my life becomes an effortless flow. What a nice way to end the show.
Yes.
So, Devinder, thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you, Cindy.
We will definitely do this again.
Yep.
I think we should start a little roundtable conversation that we can do. We'll figure out a regular time that we can broadcast. We can invite guests in. You and I can host it, and we will talk about political type things.
Yes.
I mean, because you and I really want to talk about those kind of things.
Yes.
But on this show, I'm that's not what I'm trying to talk about, except for a little to introduce ideas like amnesty and things like that. I'm all about that, but I don't want to get into any controversial conversations here, but I want to get into all kinds of controversial conversations on another show that I'm going to do.
Right.
And we're going to do it. We're going to do that. We're going to make it happen because that's how we roll.
We do.
We do what we say we're going to do, but we sometimes don't have a timeline that makes it happen right away.
Which is good.
Which is good. We allow the
happen.
vision to progress as it should organically. So I'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back here tomorrow at 8 with Ada Constanza Mueller. And peace and love. And if you want to find Devinder, sometimes he's at his shop on Park Avenue. Sometimes he's not. But you can always contact him directly. And how would somebody contact you directly if they wanted to make an appointment? Or contact one of your assistants is actually the truth.
I think there's someone there.
Yeah. So if you want to get to Devinder, you kind of have to go through people to get to him. Is the truth.
Well, that's why we have the studio.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's why
it makes sense. I'm still okay. I'm still at the stage where I'm giving out my own phone number, but Devinder doesn't. Devinder has people. He's handled.
No,
but that's not a bad thing.
It's the first studio for a designer in Orlando. Please.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
It is.
No, because it's part of what we talked about how to keep your energy.
Right.
Because if you try to do everything, then you can't project your vision.
And don't you want me to design?
I want you to design.
There we go.
There you go. Bye, people. Have a great day.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace and love.
And love.